Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Bluetti AC200p 2000 watt portable battery station. So let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to cover are the accessories that come with the battery unit. First off, you can see this gigantic battery adapter, which is your home charger. This thing is gigantic. This is a very large battery, so it does need a large power source. This is just your typical standard cable. Plug it in to your wall, plug it in to the battery station, and you are charging. So that does come with the battery station. And then it comes with a nice drawstring bag with some more goodies inside of it. So we'll take a look inside of here. We have some cables for solar charger and for your 12 volt inside of your car. So they're bound together with this nice little Velcro strap. Keep everything nice and organized with the Bluetti branding on it. So that's quite nice. Here we have a cable to charge it with your 12 volt from your vehicle. It plugs into the side of the battery, so it does include that. You then have another battery cable here. We're going to talk about this in just a little bit. I'm going to set that one off to the side for now. This is your standard MC4 solar panel connector. So you can attach this to a large solar panel and then run it into your battery unit. Okay, so coming over to the side of the power station, you can see that there are two inputs here. One input is underneath of this little rubber door. That is your standard plug from your household adapter that could be plugged into there. And then this cable that I was just talking about, I said we're going to hold off on this for a second. This is a locking adapter, so you do have to push down on it. It is spring loaded and it locks into this secondary input right underneath of that rubber flap, and then it comes to this yellow connector, which then you can plug in your solar panel wire directly into that, like so. Or you could plug in your 12 volt input for charging from a vehicle, plug that into that adapter, and like I said, this adapter then connects onto there, and it's a very, very secure connection, and that allows you to charge it. Now I will mention you can actually charge this battery two different methods at the same time. You can plug your wall adapter into the battery, or your 12 volt or your other solar panel directly into that input. And you can also run more solar panels. So that means you can actually plug this into your house, charge it, and then have one or two solar panels outside. Also plug it into that adapter and draw power from both sources at the same time, which will speed up the charging process. So having a closer look at this adapter here, you can see it is a 2-pin adapter. There are two small ball bearings on there, and there is a red dot on the top. There's really only one way to connect this, and it does lock in with this connector. All you have to do is press it in, pull back on the tab, line that red dot up on the top, and it does lock in there very securely. And then over here we have the adapter for the household input. Very simple and straightforward. Both have rubber flaps for protecting from dust and water. So having a look at the top of the battery unit, you can see that there are two wireless charging pads, one on the left, one on the right. They both output 15 watts each, and they can both be used at the same time or one separately to charge your cell phone or other compatible devices that work with wireless charging. The Bluetti AC200p has a surge rate of 4,800 watts. It is a 2000 watt battery, so running at 2000 watts. It can run 2400 watts up to 2 minutes, and it is a 2000 watt hour battery, as I've already mentioned. Let's have a closer look at some of these inputs because there are a lot of them on this battery. Okay, so coming in close at the outputs of the battery, you can notice that everything is covered with a nice rubber door. We'll start over on this side with a sine wave AC output, 100 to 120 volt, 2000 watt output. These are all standardized household plugs, all covered with rubber doors. So we've got 6 of those in total, which is very handy for such a large battery unit. Coming over to the USB, 5 volt, 3 amp output. So we have dual USB outputs right there. And then right next door, we have the exact same output, 2 more running the same current. Right next to that, we have a PD 60 watt output. So that's your USB-C output. We then have a 12 volt, 3 amp output underneath of this little door here. We have 2 of those, which are very handy for running all kinds of devices. We have a DC output 12 volt 25 amp right here, so that goes along with the standardized cable that's on the side, that click-in type cable, which gives you more options with that type of connector. And then up here we have DC output 12 volt 10 amp, which is just your standard 12 volt cigarette lighter like you would find in your common vehicle. And then up here we have the power switch. Over here we have the LCD display screen. Okay, so before we get started with turning on the battery station and going through some of the menus, I want to cover some of the specs on this battery. This battery can hardly be called portable, even though it is quite a portable size and it's a very large capacity battery. It does come in at 60 pounds. So this does have a little bit of heft to it. If you're going to be maneuvering it inside of a truck, it can be a little bit tricky to maneuver it. If you're in a home or a cottage, it's quite easy because then you can actually get in a standing position and pick it up. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit later in the video, because there is something that I did find with this that I have noticed that a lot of other channels have not touched on, and it is a very critical piece of information. So stay tuned and I will disclose that later in the video. Let's talk about the size. So we're going to talk about the depth. We are coming in at 11 inches deep for the width. That looks like 16.5 inches for the height. I want to say 15.25 inches tall. So like I said, coming in at 60 pounds, that does put this in quite a heavy weight class. However, it is full of juice. You are not going to have to move this a whole lot, especially if you're in an off-grid home, a cabin, even a truck setup like I have here. If I were to put this in my vehicle permanent, I could run it to a solar panel on the roof and basically not have to move it at all. And it could do all the charging from inside and all the outputting from inside of my truck, camper, or home or cabin. Now, I'm going to bring the camera in close and we're going to turn this battery on. We're going to have a look at some of the menus because this is all touchscreen controlled. It is a very smart operable battery and it does offer a lot of information via the LCD screen. Alright guys, so coming in closer for a little bit of a easier visualization, we have the power button over here, LCD screen. Simple press the button will illuminate green. It'll go through its initializing state and starts up very quickly. So this is all touchscreen. We do have a number of different menus. We have faults. This will give you a code fault, all kinds of information in there. There's 6 pages you can scroll through and read if you like. Clicking the home button brings us back to the home. Data gives you all kinds of information. So this is the AC200, all kinds of information here, the BMS version, ARM version, all kinds of information there for tech specs. We come back to the back screen, we can go into the settings. In the settings, you then have multiple settings which you can turn on or off. Going back to the home, we then have the home display screen. Now, how you turn this battery unit on to charge devices is kind of unique because there are no external switches or buttons on the battery unit itself. It's all touch screen. So to turn on the AC units, which would be your AC output 100, 120 volt, 2000 watt plug, you simply press that. It'll ask you, do you want to turn on? I select on, and now that module is on. It's not drawing anything because nothing's plugged into it. If I were to plug something into it, it would give me my readout right there telling me how much output I'm putting out and information of that kind. We can then shut it off. Coming over to the DC output is the same thing. Turn it on. That turns on all of the power modules that are DC, so your USB, your PD, your 12 volt, all those 12 volt DC outputs then read there, and then it will also give you the readout when you're charging something. So I'm going to put my cell phone on top of the battery unit and we're going to have a look at what it's outputting at the 15 watts that it says it's claimed to do, and we'll have a look at how this display screen works. While we're here, I might as well cover this 100% is your 100% battery life, so that'll tell you how much battery life is remaining in the battery unit, and just a lot of information available on the LCD screen, which I really do enjoy. Okay guys, so I've got a number of devices plugged into the battery unit right now, as well as my phone on the charging pad up top. It is giving me a readout of 10 watts for my phone. It's 82% charged, so it's not going to pull the full 15 watts. However, that is charging right now. On the AC, I have a lamp and I have a fan. I've also got a drill. So let's run this at half power and let's see what kind of wattage we're putting out. 260 watts at 2 amps for all 3 devices at the same time. So it does give you a readout for that. Now when you're running DC, you can go into the DC menu and it will give a full drop down of what plug you are using and how much wattage is going to that specific plug. And it gives you a whole readout on a table format so you can see what device is putting out what power and what the total output is. So it does have a kind of a very smart interface with the LCD screen. Now there is one downfall with this. I'm going to clean all this up and then I'm going to let you guys know my thoughts on the shortcomings with this battery. Okay guys, so now that we've had a pretty in-depth and kind of a basic overview of the battery, I have been using this for over a month and it has treated me very, very well. I do really enjoy it. The price tag on this is very expensive, coming in at $2,600 Canadian. No, I did not purchase it. Yes, Bluetti sent it out to me for review and for me to add to my kit to keep forever. No, this is not paid. This is not sponsored. They do not tell me what to say. I review the products totally with my own words, how I feel about them, just like everything else on the channel. This is where things get interesting because this is a very, very nice battery and I absolutely love it. I love it. One thing that is very scary with this is the LCD screen, okay? So like I mentioned earlier, I have not seen any other channels touch on this, and I have got to touch on it. I've got to mention it. This, I did not pay for. Now, if I did pay for this, $2,600 Canadian is a very expensive battery. There are no external buttons on this battery unit, which I actually like because it's very sleek, very slimline design, other than the power switch, so you can turn it on. However, you cannot turn on any of the modules without the LCD screen. Get what I'm saying? So if this LCD screen, which is unprotected, happens to get damaged or cracked, you cannot turn on any of the modules to use. So once the LCD screen is broken, the entire unit is basically useless. How are you going to break that screen? Well, it's very easy to accidentally bump it. But more importantly, I would say while transporting it, use caution. When you do pick it up, it does line up with your belt buckle. So make sure the LCD screen is turned away from your body so your belt buckle doesn't crack that screen and render the whole battery useless. Also watch out where you're walking because if you do happen to bump that screen, it will damage it. So with that information in mind, I would suggest to Bluetti because they do have an excellent product here and I am very, very, very happy with it. This is my favorite battery station and I have a lot of battery stations. But my suggestion to Bluetti would be not to add external switches because I get where they're going with this. It's 2021 current year. It's nice to have touchscreen and really sleek slimline design. However, I would like to see either a flip down hard plastic cover over the LCD screen or maybe a built-in slider screen so you can actually slide the plastic up, or maybe an aluminum panel, something very durable that is going to protect that screen so it doesn't get damaged, because like I said, if that gets damaged, you cannot turn on any of the modules and it's basically useless. So very expensive battery. It's just a shame that this is not protected a little bit more because I can see people accidentally damaging that. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that doesn't happen to mine. But all in all, this is an excellent battery unit. Bluetti AC200p. All of the other specs that you may have questions on, there are so many specs covering electronic devices and batteries and whatnot. The best place to go for that information is Bluetti's website or check out their listing on Amazon. I'm not going to cover all the really in-deep technical specs. I just want to give an overview of the battery, what I feel, how I feel about it, and how I've been using it. So far I've been using it in the truck camper to run big items, my refrigerator, a fan, lights, all kinds of things. And it has worked tremendously well. I have not charged it with a solar panel yet because I do not have a large enough solar panel to do so. So I am charging it at home with the plug one time, and I can go for 4 or 5 days with this and not worry about recharging it. So that is the AC200p coming from Bluetti. If you guys have any questions or comments, drop them down below and I'll do my very best to answer them for you. I will catch you guys in the next video. So peace out, guys.